I find the conclusion that some have raised that your report, Mr. Horowitz, somehow exonerates the FBI in this matter to be crazy. Absolutely crazy. To the point that it almost makes me wonder whether those who are making this argument have read the same report that we're talking about today. Perhaps they're talking about a different report. There is no planet on which I think this report indicates that things were okay within the FBI in connection with this investigation. They most certainly were not. And yet, stunningly, former FBI Director Jim Comey took to the pages of the Washington Post to declare that this report, your report, shows that, quote, the FBI fulfilled its mission protecting the American people and upholding the U.S. Constitution. I don't understand that. I find it absolutely stunning that he would reach that conclusion. This is nonsense. I don't care where you fit on the political spectrum. If you are a politician or if you are a non-politician, if you are a liberal or a conservative, a Republican, a Democrat, regardless of your age, your views, you should be deeply concerned about what's in your report, Mr. Horowitz. This report is a scathing indictment of the FBI, of the agents that were involved, and I want to be clear about that because the FBI is an institution that has a long history of respect in this country. And as a federal prosecutor, I worked with the FBI. I found many of its agents to be people of utmost integrity and thoroughness. And that's part of why I'm so concerned by your report and its findings, the facts stated therein. It's because I think this really damages that. There is a lot of good in this country that comes not just from the FBI being good, but also being understood to be good. The behavior outlined in your report is, at a minimum, so negligent. I actually would say so reckless that it calls into question the legitimacy of the entire FISA program. And I don't say that lightly. I say this, of course, as someone who has long questioned the FISA program and how it could be abused, but this really pushes us over the edge. I'll get back to that in a minute. The report concludes, way too generously in my view, that the report, quote, did not find documentary or testimonial evidence of intentional misconduct on the part of the case agents who were involved in investigating the Trump campaign. But the report goes on to call the conduct of the agents and the supervisors involved to be, quote, serious performance failures, which you noted were failures for which you did not receive a satisfactory explanation. Is that right?
That's correct.
Serious performance failures. Failures without any type of satisfactory explanation. This is the failure that Jim Comey astoundingly, stunningly, irresponsibly considers a fulfilled mission, a mission that includes, among other things, protecting the constitutional rights of the American people? I think not. This is what the former head of the FBI considers protecting the American people and upholding the Constitution. I just can't understand it. It's simply not good enough. It may be good enough for Mr. Comey. It's not good enough for the American people. Every American really should be terrified by this report. The FBI team that investigated the Trump campaign was, as has been pointed out, handpicked. After all, it couldn't and wouldn't and wasn't the case that they would just pick any ordinary investigators to investigate a presidential campaign, especially the presidential campaign of one of the two major party nominees, for what was acknowledged in the report to have been one of the most sensitive FBI investigations. These agents were supposed to have been the best of the best, and we wouldn't expect anything less in that circumstance. They were supposed to be of the highest character and professionalism, committed to protecting the civil liberties of all Americans. You see, our privacy is not at odds with our security. Our privacy is inextricably intertwined with, and indeed an inseparable part of our security. We cannot be secure unless our privacy is also guaranteed. We certainly can't be secure in our Republican form of government if, after all, our Republican form of government is imperiled by people who choose to politicize the intelligence gathering and law enforcement apparatus that our federal government has. So we're faced with two possibilities. Either one, these FBI agents purposely use the power of the federal government to wage a political war against a presidential candidate they despised, or two, these agents were so incompetent that they allowed a paid foreign political operative to weaponize the FISA program into a spying operation on a rival presidential political campaign. I'm not sure about you, but I'm not sure which one is worse. I am sure that neither conclusion is acceptable.